The words of Dylan Thomas could not be more poignant as past champions rage against the dying of the light. Sanctioned by the Absolute Beginners League from Virginia International Raceway, it's the Global SimRacing Channel's Round 2 coverage of this, the 21st edition of the Formula Neagle Championship. Do not go gentle into that good night. Such is the ambition of past title holders Errol Numm and David Burns. New men now catch and sing the sun in flight. Men like Mikel Hofladezen, who earned his third career Formula Neagle victory in the season opener as Mosport. Men like the Barcelona surprise Christian Perez, whose series debut found him above all else sans Hofladezen. And Lee Anderson, the Skippy specialist who seems to have found the rhythm of the road and the rhyme that is Formula Neagle. Will Burns and Numm go gentle into that good night? It's been said, old age and treachery will always beat youth and exuberance. Find out if those words ring true as all the simulated Skippy action from green flag to Victory Donuts streams your way live as it happens right here on the Global Sim Racing Channel. Peace, good health, and welcome to yet another Formula Neagle season. Way up in the press box to bring you our Word's Eye view, it's my longtime Formula Neagle partner, Adam Young, along with yours truly, Bill Soups on. Sean Ambrose has director duties with cameras provided by Dougie Beard. On the iRacing platform, there are a few tracks that I wish I could take my wife to for a picnic, one of them being VIR. Let's take a closer look at this beautiful racing complex.
Welcome to Virginia International Raceway. This track near the southern border of its namesake has had the rare blessing of being resurrected from the dead. With 2 decades of use in its modern incarnation and still drawing regular visits from IMSA and Trans Am, it's safe to say that VIR is back and thriving. The owners didn't skimp on refurbishing the place either. An impressive 7 versions are available to run on iRacing, with viewing areas that include posh villas near South Bend that can be rented by fans. The track's long and complex layout has earned it some colorful corner names too. The horseshoe kicks things off right away with a never-ending double apexer that tends to suck the greedy out into its runoff. Later on, fast cars lacking downforce are sent through the terrifying climbing S's and spit out of the steep drop of South Bend. Of course, there's perhaps the most famous turn of Oak Tree, which has sadly lost its eponymous flora in real life, but is retained here in the virtual world. Let's not forget one of the scariest obstacles at the end of the lap, the roller coaster. The incredible speed drivers carry up into this blind braking zone is what causes it to require such immense bravery in order to get the most out of a lap. As you'd expect, the high number of corners makes passing rather difficult. Add in the fact that many of them are dangerously swift, and track position can wind up being a major factor in races. With the picturesque backdrop of the Appalachians around them, fans are not left wanting when they come to watch drivers face off at this historic track. It's no wonder the circuit has found success in its second chance at life.
And there you have a look at Virginia International Raceway. Let's take a quick look at the points. We're going to start with the F1 driver standings. Now, with only one race in the book, these standings pretty much reflect the results of the opening round. You got Mikel Hofladezen up there. He scored a perfect 28 points, 25 for the win, plus 1 bonus point each for gridding in the top 3, fastest race lap, and obviously leading a lap. How about Christian Perez? His car is pretty, and so were his results. His second place finish and a pair of bonus points has him just 4 back of the lead. But so far, I haven't seen Christian making an appearance here in his sophomore performance. Lee Anderson fended off a late race charge from Errol Numm and Yus Junk for that final podium spot. And then you see the Roland Estonian and the Junkyard Dog in 4th and 5th. We get the privilege of covering a second championship now. This is the F2 driver standings. Adam?
Yeah, and of course F2 is something that's been around for quite a while. You know, you get a lot of drivers out there that come up and trying to come up through the ranks, one of which being Nicholas Falk. And Nicholas actually led a lap last time out at Mosport. He's got the lead just by 4 points over Andre Slander. Now, the biggest thing with Slander, of course, he's only had 6 career races, so this is his second season, I believe, now in Formula Neagle, and each one he's improved on top of his last. So it'd be somebody to keep an eye out for. Of course, Solo in third, Eric Lukel in fourth, and Frederick Neptune. Of course, we talk about Frederick all the time on these broadcasts. The 1,400 clear laps here in the Formula Neagle Series. He led his first lap last weekend at Mosport, actually leading 3 laps there during the pit cycle. So congratulations there to Frederick. That's a big step up, and we'll see what he can do here in the F2 standings as we go throughout the season.
It felt special at the time, and I did the research, and sure enough, that was the case. Let's go ahead and look at the team championships here. Now, pretty much each one of these team championships is based just on one driver. I think only Team Kompach down there in 5th position was the only one to have both its drivers score points. You can see Team Bushwick Racing Pink. Now, that's Errol Num. He's the only one that is teamed up with a driver, with a team champion right now. We can bring those down. Those will get more exciting as we move along. Let's go ahead and look at the race details, Adam.
Yeah, today, of course, this is season 21. This is the second round after that big race there last week at Mosport. And running the Skip Barber 2000 here. And a 40-minute race is what we've got on top. And open setups here in the Formula Neagle Series, 51% as far as the fuel. So what that does with that 51% is that guarantees us having a pit stop here later on in this race. And pit strategy, well, you saw how it played out at Mosport 2 weeks ago, and now, of course, it's probably going to play out as big of a role here for today. And of course, they do have a standing start here in the Formula Neagle Series. And by the way, running the 2.25 mile layout here at Virginia International Raceway today on the North Circuit. This one a couple of seasons ago put on a great show. Really expecting that again here today.
You know, Adam, iRacing is kind enough to give us many different configurations of these tracks, and I don't think they're used enough. If we don't use these smaller configurations when we're covering an MX5 race or a Skippy race, when are we going to use them? I'm excited to be on something a little different, you know?
Yeah, you know, and like I said, I mean, Formula Neagle, they've ran the North layout before, and it really works well with these cars. And I can tell you from experience, it works well with the MX-5s too. You just got to use it. You know, and the cool thing about this, particularly this North layout here, is looking at Nicholas Falk taking the very, very early provisional pole here in qualifying. On this North layout here, it actually has more turns than the longer normal layouts. And you kind of have that uphill section, and you'll see it very well marked by some of the red water barrels, and that it really gets to be really technical trying to get up that hill right there. Many accidents have happened there, and that's gonna be one trouble spot. But yeah, I mean, so many layouts here in Virginia. Use them. I mean, they're fun. Use them.
We talked about all the turns. I must admit, they do label their turns liberally here, as there are 20, but anything that basically isn't straight is pretty much able to turn on the track now.
I mean, you're going to see plenty of times here where these guys will come on to a corner, quote unquote, that's marked on the track, and they'll just go straight. So the track limits here aren't exactly strictly enforced as, say, somewhere like Spa or Circuit of the Americas. Of course, those two come to mind here in iRacing. But still, though, I mean, that allows these cars to actually build up a little bit more speed, create a few more passing opportunities once we do get into some of the shorter corners there.
I talked a lot about Christian Perez in the opening, making his season debut series debut with a bridesmaid performance. Checking the alphabetical list here that iRacing provides by first name. I got Christian Cabanca, Christopher Garros, and Christopher Crook. No Christian Perez here today, at least so far. He's got another 3.5 minutes to slip in here before his time is out.
Yes, I mean, he put on a really good show there at Mosport, so it'd be a shame not to have him here for today. But most of your bigger names are here today. Another one that I am not seeing is going to be Euro Num. I do not see Euro Num on the roster here so far today, but he's another guy that has just a few minutes. Maybe try to get in here.
Well, with only a 6-race schedule and no drop weeks, maybe Errol Num has indeed gone gently into that good night. So maybe not putting up the fight here. David Burns is back. I want to talk a little bit about qualifying here. We always talk about getting on the pole, but it should be pointed out as we have a driver not having a very good qualifying run there. We're looking at Lee Anderson. Lee Anderson hoping to, he's sitting at the top of the list right now. But really, when it comes to bonus points, it's really the top 3 we should be paying attention to. Lee Anderson, how about Christian Kabanka and David Burns sitting up there 1, 2, 3?
Yeah, watching one of the guys there having a problem. Those Guerrera. And yeah, so top 3 getting his bonus points here in qualifying, and I tell you what, Lee Anderson, this is going to be his day to try to shine. He's excellent at these type of flowing tracks, and he's really going to have to watch out for David Burns. Now, we talked a lot about him over the last couple of seasons, but Christian Kabanka, he's one of those guys that he's always right there. He's always waiting in the wings, and this will be another one here for today where he really has a chance to really shine, and he's qualifying well as David Burns now moves up into the provisional pole.
And of course, we are missing another big name. I don't see Alex Johnson here today. And of course, it's always been tradition as these series move into the summer months, attendance is always a little more spotty. We'll see how that plays out with the COVID-19 virus being a worldwide issue. Maybe we'll get a little more drivers here. Vacation's probably a little tougher to go on. We're looking at Mackenzie Mann. There's a newcomer.
Timmy Ninelander now on your screen, and I can't quite get to where his best was.
23 drivers have put in qualifying times. There are still 4 that have not, one of them being car number 666 of Frederick Neptune. There is Lee Anderson. In this familiar frosted purple machine. Let's go ahead and look at Mikkel Hofladays in car number 81, just coming across the line right now. He's sitting 6th on the chart, and bingo! A bonus point as he moves into 2nd position.
Yeah, we'll definitely take that here for today, and that's this is going to be a place where track position's really, really going to be key. I mean, you've got obviously the front straightaway here is super long, but outside of that, you really only have one good area where you're going to be able to make drafting moves. And funny enough, that's an area that you have a couple of quote-unquote corners. It's kind of going more through the S session, but it's very straight out, or very flat out, and right before you head up to 14A, which is where you kind of go through that uphill section, or excuse me, turn 7, where you kind of go up through that uphill section. So it gets to be pretty interesting through there, but that is a drafting area and probably the 2nd best passing area on the track.
I want to take a quick peek at car number 77. He's on the other side of the track right now. I believe it's Nicholas Falk, the Swedish driver racing out of Stockholm. Actually, he's coming close. Let's stay with him here as he's heading up into Hogpen, so he'll be coming to the finish line pretty quick. Very impressive in his opening run. Made his season debut coming out of the final corner right now on the throttle, sitting 6th right now in qualifying. Let's see if he can better that. Give you an indication of how far that start-finish line is out of the final corner. Plenty of time to snake a spot. And I'm not sure if he's better. He does better his time a little bit. Moves up into 5th, just around the junkyard jog of Yusheng. Two drivers yet to qualify, Christopher Crook and again Frederick Neptune. Neptune just put it in the wall. Come on, Frederick, let's get out there, baby.
Ooh, Kapanka just moved up in a big way. Moving now up, I think he jumped up about 6 spots from 12th to 6th.
He was up in the top 3 for a while, got bumped down. Again, we talk about it every time, but there is there's a race win in his future here pretty soon. He continues to improve every time.
I'm not going to lie, that could happen here today. I mean, his practice times were a little bit less than some of the other guys, but at the same time, I mean, he always shines in the race. If he could just keep the car clean, I think Christian Kveka is going to be a dark horse here today.
One of the fun features of qualifying always in a Formula Neagle event is open qualifying, so you can find yourself a quick partner to get behind if you got a fast teammate or even a fast competitor. Get in behind them. You know, we talk about it, but it's funny when it's all said and done. Look at the top three of the name: Anderson, Burns, and Hofladen. Kind of the three you would expect.
Especially here for this season. And that's even without the names like Eurodom in the field here for today. These three have been on fire. Lee Anderson's another one of those ones that, I mean, he really shined about 2 seasons ago. I don't think he really had the season he was hoping for last season, as he sets a new fastest lap and moves that pole speed up just a little bit as qualifying is starting to come to an end here. And now it's like I really don't think he has anything to really hold him back, and he's really kind of showing it, and showed it at Most Sport 2 weeks ago and showing it again here today. And look for big things out of Lee Anderson.
My dad always taught me to be thankful for what you have and not regret what you don't have. But sorry, Dad, I'm going to talk about another driver who's not here, another champion, Neil Bamber, not here today. We'll miss him.
No Bambi. Christian Kveka, by the way, moved up to 4th, and Henrik Kamara. We haven't talked at all about Henrik. He's got himself in 5th.
Okay, they've thrown the checkered flag, so they'll let the drivers complete their lap. Adam, what are we looking at? Obviously, the draft is going to come into effect with these skippies wherever we race, but maybe not quite as much here, or what do you think?
I just think that there's only 2 good areas where you're going to be able to make drafting moves. Now, you can, of course, still use the draft to kind of help improve your position and try to make some gains. But if you're going to make, those typical big passes with the draft, there's really only 2 places on this track that's going to happen, and that's going to be the front straightaway, and of course, going through the first S's, going through 5, 5A, 6, and then going up into turn 7, which is the uphill. So that's going to be the second area, but that's not nearly as long as your front straightaway.
Just looking at those times, Anderson's almost a quarter of a second faster than Burns.
Here's one I want to see. Nicholas Fogg, 10th slower.
Nevertheless, close.
Lukel moves up to 5th. That was a big lap from him, getting behind.
Yeah, I think he found himself a nice partner to be behind. That's one of the beauties. Of course, Eric Lukel, we saw him on those F2 standings, a veteran of the F2 championship. Neil Stevenson on track right now. 26 drivers have put in time. Frederick Neptune did not get one in, and it looks like Fredrickson or Thomas. There's the Strudelmeister. He's taking a little off-road racing. And I think with that out of the way, I think that's pretty much everybody. So with the standing start and a fairly large field, let's make sure that Adam and I get our GSRC's commentator bonus for getting through the entire field before we go green. Let's go to the starting grid right now. It is Lee Anderson who sits 3rd in the points on pole. David Burns, 2-time champion, is going to flank him on the front row. Miguel Hofladen, coming off his 3rd career win, is sitting inside of row 2 with Christian Kveka in the 4th spot. Eric Lukel, we saw him jump up into 5th position. He's going to be sided by Henrik Kamara. Andrew Leach and Nicholas Falk racing out of Stockholm in 8th position. The Junkyard Jog, Yus Junk, in 9th. He's going to be inside of Peter Houston.
All right, going back to 11th spot, Christopher Giros and Andre Salander will make up row 6. And of course, Salander, remember, every time he's come out, he's finished a little bit better than the time before. Vincent Brem and Timmy Nylander make up row 7. Row 8 is going to go to Josh Frank. Christopher Cook. Row 9, Scott Angelo and Neil Stevenson. In row 10, Hocek. He'll be in 19th, and Matt Tempest in 20th.
In blackjack position is Thomas Kick. Kai Alpstad in the double duck spot. Troy Banks in 23rd. They say he never sleeps. Dennis Russ in the quarter century, the double dozen position. Mackenzie Mann in the quarter century mark with Jason Guerrera in 26th, the last driver to put in a qualifying time. Frederick Neptune has gridded, but he'll be at the very, very back. Let's take a quick look at the weather before the engines start to harmonize, see what they're dealing with out there. Adam, well, that looks pretty pleasant.
Yeah, it does. 66 degrees. I think that's a little bit better than what real world Virginia has right now. Partly cloudy skies, track temperature at 77. Winds not an issue. 1 mile an hour is not going to play around with these cars here at all for today. And 71% humidity, so horsepower should be good as well. So these guys looking pretty good weather-wise, Soup.
Additional procrastination. Miguel Hofladezen finally makes it out onto the grid. We appreciate that, Miguel. Make sure that we get through the entire grid before they drop the green. And it's just about time to do that as the inches start to harmonize. Gather up the chickens, take covering on the cows. The horses are out of the barn. Racing out of the UK, it is Lee Anderson leading David Burns into the first corner. Hofladezen in third. Kabonka and Lukel round out your top five. Here they go into the horseshoe.
Yeah, Lee Anderson away clean. They had to go 3 wide there briefly, and the biggest loser to the 3 wide situation was Christian Kabeka. He's going to have a little bit of ground to make up, but still going second place through NASCAR men with Mikael Hofladezen and David Burns.
So far, we are clean. All 26 drivers stay on the pavement. Now the leaders work through the left hook, and they're going to head up to the snake. Little bit of gap being opened up by Lee Anderson. He's got about a half-second lead over Burns. Burns not worried. He has plenty of times to get there. Burns being chased by Hofladezen. Hofladezen has a reputation for being very aggressive, especially early on.
I don't see any major incidents here through the first part of this first lap, so looking good. I do see one car there blinking. That seems to be a problem.
That's a great Dougie Beer shot as they come at you. Another low-angle shot as they go by. Lean your head to the right so that you don't hurt your ears.
Speaking of Dougie Beard, wanted us to give a shout-out to his SimTech racing team. So good. I guess they might be running there. What is it, Spa this weekend? Is that the 24-hour race they got going on right now?
I believe that's where they are, yes. Good luck to him. All right, out of the
I see a car flying through the air. Trying to see who that was.
Hughes Young, he was not at the car that really went flying.
It's Falk.
It's Stockholm driver Nicholas Falk who went really for a tumble. We'll come back and take a look at that one. We'll come back and look at it in a minute. Great onboard camera might be from the car of 104 Hendrik Kamara. Holy moly, what a ride for those guys. Meanwhile, up front, it's Anderson. Let's look at second position real quick. This is Burns. Boy, Hofladezen all over him trying to get that spot. Hofladezen is a familiar black painted machine.
Oh, and behind those guys, Andrew Leach and Christian Kabeka going at it too. Kabeka almost went wide and into the grass.
Those two guys who are battling as we ride on board with Hofladezen, right behind them, the battle going on that Adam was talking about between Kabonka and Leach has let the front three start to pull away. You can see it on the tower there, almost 2 seconds between third and fourth. Here you go, Adam, here's your battle.
Yeah, Leach and Kabeka here. It's kind of broken up just a little bit, obviously through the technical section. It seems like Christian has a good run here, but Andrew very firmly going to be in his draft when we start to approach the front straightaway. I bet we're going to have a change for fourth position here in just a moment.
They continue to race really hard. Look on your tower. We don't need to go there, but in 8th position right now, this is our hard charger. It would be Vincent Bream, although I'm showing him in 14th position. He must have lost some spots since I last checked. So Vincent had an off. Director, we want to go back and take a look at the Yunk, if we can.
And I was just telling him behind the scenes, this is one of the wilder absolute beginners league rides that we've seen in quite some time. You're going to see Yus Yunk here just get wide, and then just
there he goes.
Launches Nicholas Falk. And we can say that we always rate some of those by how many wheels he knocks off, and that was a 3. He knocked off 3 wheels when he gets lost. Wow! Look at that air. He's had to be good 10 feet in the air.
Almost high enough to be sent out of the system sometimes. When you get that high, you blink yourself right into the twilight zone.
The phrase I like to use nowadays, and he got space forced.
That's a great one. Okay, up front, it is Anderson who has had it all his way. The battle now is Burns and Hofladason. Let's stay on this a little bit as that black car continues to stalk Dave Burns. Hofladason, boy, he's really pushing the envelope of the track boundaries there. Putting the left sides off, putting the right sides off. Right on board, he's got a good toe here. He's right on the gearbox. Boy, he knows exactly how long his car is. Inches away from the gearbox as he swings to the left of Burns. My goodness. The man has never heard of netcode. And he takes over second spot and now sets his sights on Lee Anderson.
Of course, looking at David Burns, he's got that old school McLaren paint job there. I don't know. The Chrome Arrow, is that a good nickname for those old Vodafone car schemes?
Oh, the Strudelmeister. Vincent Bream, I told he was having a good run, got into the back of the Strudelmeister. He was working on the inside, that third car that you'll see in there. That's Neil Stevenson. Kick on the inside, Strudelmeister, sorry, that's a Bream on the outside. And there they go.
Doesn't look like much in the way of damage, just a little bit of pride and some positions lost as well. Still not how they wanted this thing to start out with. We're only a few minutes into it.
Nice to race on a track that has a lot of grassy runoff. Boy, VIR is notorious for that, is that you get out of here, you can get on the grass for a while. You won't hit anything, but you'll slide for a while. Look at this battle here, Leach and Kabanka. All the while, Adam, they continue to lose touch with the front three.
Yeah, and that's the front three right now are doing exactly what they need to do, and I think Kabanka here is going to be able to leapfrog Leach, and that's not exactly a bad strategy right now. Try to use a little bit of leapfrog. See Mikkel Hofdazen going purple there, and you'll be able to improve your times just a little bit if you do it right and you don't try to fight each other while you're doing it. But at the same time, the fourth, Kabanka and Leach here are also losing ground to Lukel and Kamara behind them. We might have a four-car battle here for fourth shaping up over the next few laps.
I don't know if these guys are so much worried what's in their windscreen, but what's showing up in their rearview mirror. Let's look at that Lukel and Kamara battle. They begin to close up. This is for 6 and 7. I like the teamwork that Kabanka and Leach are showing. Let's see if Lukel can run these guys down. The interval about just a tick over a second. Adam, this is a totally different animal from what we saw last time at Mosport. Remember last time we could not get away from the action up front between the front, what would be 7 or 8. Right now, the front three are very behaved. It gives us a chance to go back in the field and look at some of these other guys. That's a great shot. You can see all 4 drivers in the screen at the same time as Lukel tries to close up on the gearbox of Leach.
You mentioned a great shot. That's Virginia International Raceway to begin with. Very scenic, very wide open, lots of runoff. Everybody that I know of that has actually raced here in real life or gone to races here in real life have absolutely loved the place. But it doesn't have the storied history of, say, Watkins Glen or Laguna Seca. It's very underrated. Nobody thinks about it. But there's a reason that, all the major teams come here to test. I mean, IndyCar teams come here to test. NASCAR comes here to test.
And there's the little easy pass again as these guys are cooperating. I'm talking about Leach and Kabanka as Leach goes around now up into 4th. Boy, but he misses the apex of the horseshoe, takes the second line through. He's going to lose a lot of time there. You talked about it doesn't even have the reputation of even like Road America that is kind of a similar feel to it. Can we go back to 8th position, Director? Let's look at this battle. This is Timmy Nylander in a battle with Peter, I'm going to say Huston is how we're going to pronounce that last name.
And another 2 guys that have been kind of going at it here for a little bit, but they're not doing it in such a way that they're able to gain on the cars in front of them, so they continue to lose ground to that pack of Kamara and Lukel. But Nylander and Huston still putting on a show amongst themselves.
Good run from Nylander. He was up 6 spots. Talk about a hard charger. It is against my religion to actually promote this. Can we look at car number 666? It's Frederick Neptune. Yes, he started in 27, didn't put in a qualifying time, racing in now what would be 14th spot. So having a good run through the field. I hate to promote people who don't put in qualifying times.
That must be why I never get mentioned. Well, all right. So you run that I'm in. Oh,
hey, we got some action up front. Side by side, working on the outside, going into the horseshoe. That's the black car of Hofladezen, who have a little bit of momentum out there. The track should be fairly clean. It's early on, and there's a small field. They continue to race side by side. Lee Anderson knows this man, and he's going to sacrifice the position. We got ourselves a new leader. Anderson now down into second, watching the whole thing happen. David Burns.
and this is what that second pack wants to see, to be able to try to gain a little bit more ground on those guys, Leach, Kabenka, Luco, and Kamara. See those top three of Hofladezen, Anderson, and Burns go at it like that, as they've fallen off about 5 seconds off the pace. The real winner in that, by the way, was Burns, because I believe that they still hand out the extra point for fastest lap, and that allowed Burns to at least set that, at least here for the moment.
Another thing that I noticed on that pass was the pass was made well down into the horseshoe. So when I talked about plenty of time to like snake somebody before the finish line, I'm not sure if that's really the case. Hofladezen was well behind Anderson when they came across the line. So if you're going to pass somebody, you may want to think about doing it, before you get to there.
Well, and that brings up a good point that we've seen many times in these races here over this last couple of seasons. Very rarely do we have a runaway winner in this series. It's now down the front straightaway. They're going to do a little leapfrog action again here. Lee Anderson probably going to be able to sneak by here going into turn one. Is that, so you got to be planning out, even though we have 28 minutes left in this race. I mean, we're still just a quarter past, a quarter of this race done. You're already thinking about, how am I going to set up the last 2 or 3 laps of this race to be able to try to make a run and make it stick.
And you're watching on screen, and there is Anderson taking the spot back from Hofladezen. Let's leave that for a minute. Let's go back to 9th position. This is Nylander in a battle with Salander. We talked about how well he's doing. He had a great opening round. Also in the mix is Christopher Crook. And Scott Angelo looking on from 12th position. These 4 cars race 3 or 4 car lengths apart.
And Nylander had a little bit of an off a little while ago. That's why he kind of fell back into this pack, and then it grouped up to where you got this little bit of a train here going for 9th spot. Another slip up by any of these guys will be, it could be a few positions gained.
And at the very back, just coming into your screen, let's drop back to 14th position. This is Frederick Neptune, and a guy who just will not give up. It's the Junkyard Dog. Well, that's what Junkyard Dogs do. There he is back with Yus Junk after he had his incident early on. Car number 13, the yellow and pink cars. He works on the back of Neptune.
Yeah, good recovery drive there from Yus Junk, and as we see Frederick Neptune take a little bit of the off-roading portion of the course, apparently. And which, by the way, I always say, Skip Barber's great on dirt. Give it a try sometime. It's actually kind of fun. But Yus Junk, man, I think he's gained probably 6 or 7 spots in that initial contact.
They swap positions up front again. Look at this. This is one more time. That is Hofladezen doing his move on the outside of the horseshoe as Anderson protects the inside, making Hofladezen do it the hard way. Boy, look at the difference in racing lines. Let's see if he continues between the black car of Hofladezen, who really pushes the car all over the track, and Anderson, who's much more controlled. Hofladezen just really gets that car out there. Look at Anderson, wants this spot back. Coming down into 7, the uphill.
We'll say, we brought it up a few minutes ago, while these guys have been going at it, we mentioned maybe that might be what Kabenka and Leach and all them need to start just whittling away at this. Nope, the bleeding has stopped as far as time, but they're still losing a little bit.
That's the front 3 competitor. You can see on the tower, Lucal trying to close in a little bit on those rascals. You know, Anderson and Hofladezen are having a lot of fun, but they're also using up more petrol than, well, who would it be? David Burns is back there, racing comfortably in the tow of both Anderson and Hofladezen.
Yeah, that's part of the reason, too. Yeah, I'm going to call this a chrome arrow. I'm going to have that stick. That's part of the reason too he's been sticking back there and not really pushing the issues. He is saving fuel, and he might be able to get enough to maybe squeeze out maybe an extra lap on these guys here when everything is said and done, and that could pay big dividends as well, because he'll get an extra lap where he isn't full of fuel. And also, that's an extra lap of fuel he doesn't have to put into the car on the next pit stop. It could be enough to leapfrog these two.
Anderson forced to take the wide line through the horseshoe, and he was able to get the pass made down into 3. Hofladezen not giving it up. He fights back now in the preferred position, and he gets it right back. Some good racing going on from those guys. Sometimes, Adam, even though I race farther back in the field, sometimes you just can't enjoy having fun. You just can't avoid having fun. And Hofladezen and Anderson right now are just,
and they've got the gap to do it. But it's important to note there, Soup, that while they were doing it, and a little bit of an error on your screen, I'm guessing Kick and Banks might have gotten into it. They had to take a tow. That's why they're showing up there in front right now. But while they were playing around like that, though, they lost a full second to Kubenka and Leach. So you imagine it only takes a few more times like that, then all of a sudden those guys are right back in your front pack. So you want to play around, but you don't want to overdo it.
And we saw it. Here comes another pass. Let's go ahead and watch this pass here. This time, oh, look at this. This time he's going to leave on the inside line. And they make the pass. That's maybe a little more of just go ahead. We're losing too much time. Maybe Hofladezen's listened to Adam on the broadcast here and says, let's not fool around anymore.
Oh, Hofladezen doesn't need to listen to me.
Yeah.
And speaking of which, it's good to see him. We always wonder if his real-world racing schedule is going to affect him showing up for the ABL and stuff. And always glad to see that he could make it. And I think he's making a real charge of trying to get this championship this year.
Kai Alfstadt just ran up onto the back of Jason Guerrera. Don't know if we need to go there as they were racing outside of the top 20. I think Alfstadt will have trouble. Guerrera looks like he's going to be able to continue. Race has been relatively clean. Something we haven't talked much about is what lap traffic is going to mean on this smaller track. They're blessed by a smaller field, so the lap traffic won't be as heavy. Always fun to watch back here a little farther back. We'll look at 11th position.
Three-car battle here.
Now Young has gotten through these guys. That's him in 11th ahead of those guys. The real battle is Angelo and Neptune. There's the yellow and pink car.
It's just, I know he started in the back. I know he started shotgun on the field, but still, man.
Yeah, I love it.
Archer, man. He's got some speed. Oh! He spin out in front of him. A little bit of a half spin, and he gets it straightened out.
Let's take a look at it from on board with the 666 when we get an opportunity. You have a great look at it. It happens right in front. Look at this right here. We're right on board with the Triton. Where's he going to go? Where's he going to go? I'll just keep the car down here. And he spins away. And with that, Frederick Neptune decides to bring it in for a pit stop, as a few drivers are coming in. Huston, Hughes Young is coming in for his stop. I think these are all well in the window.
Yeah, so you've seen some of the early takers here. We don't have Euro Num in the field today with the early peel, late reveal. So a few guys trying to take up that moniker here for this here new battle for P4. Andrew Leach and looks like Christian Kubenka is still going at it here.
This has been going on for it will be 19 minutes and 50 seconds since the green flew. Would not be surprised to see David Burns peel off early. I don't know how fast he is. Remember, he qualified second. He might be able to come in. He'll be able to fill up with less fuel because he's been behind. Maybe do the undercut on Anderson or Hofladezen on the other hand. Burns may not even feel the need to do that. Say boo, Adam, your lead commentator has the hiccups.
All right. Yeah, of course, Burns. I'm gonna disagree with you on that, Soup. I think Burns will stay out there for as long as he can. As we're starting to see some traffic guys, Jason Guerrero, these guys are gonna have to work around, and he's being nice. But I think Burns is going to take advantage of maybe an extra lap or two on a very light tank at the end of this fuel run. And and that's why, like, as this race continues to shape up, I'm liking David Burns' position more and more.
Good job of getting around the lap car of Jason Guerrero. Next is Nicholas Falk, who had that early incident. He came in and took a fast repair. We saw him take a tumble.
Right, and that's important to note too. If you haven't watched ABL in a while, they do have a fast repair in this series now, so Nicholas Falk able to take advantage of that.
Don't need to go there. I'll just tell you that Christopher Guerreros, you see him on your tower in 12th position, is the leader of all the cars who've made their stop. Should be about time. Let's stay on the leaders here, see if anybody comes in this time around. They'll be coming up to pit entry. Time for decisions to be made. No, no, no.
I couldn't tell if Hoffenheim was thinking about it for a second. Yeah, you can tell he doesn't want to go in alone, and that, or he realized I'm getting ready to set the fastest lap, and I'm just going to go ahead and stay out there.
Indeed. Stevenson makes his stop. Sitting out of the top 20, and in fact, he blinks away.
Stevenson's been in there for a while. I think he was having an issue.
I don't know if commentator's curse applies in the pit lane, but let's check in on 7th position. This is Henrik Kamara. He's trying to run down Eric Lukal. We've been watching these guys. Lukal has they've made no ground at all at the Leach and Kabaka. Those guys in 4th and 5th have done a good job of pulling away. Quickly before the pit stop director, how about Matt Tempest? This may be a little bit of a faux car number 10, racing in 11th position. He is up 9 spots. That might be a little bit fake because Neil has not made his pit stop yet. In fact, he is the last driver of all the drivers to not make a stop. He's the last one. Here come the leaders.
All right,
Anderson is in. Hoffenheim stays out.
And this might make sense because I think Lee Anderson spent the most amount of time up in clean air, so he's probably burned the most fuel out of those 3. As Hoffenheim once again goes purple.
Pit stops are not Anderson's forte, and he misses his box. Those are the little mistakes that you just can't make in this series.
And you think about it, that might have been a half a second that it took him to back up and get everything set back up right. And that's a half a second lost. Could even be a second lost.
All right, so now you have Hoffenheim. The question is, can Burnsy go one more lap than these guys?
I think he can.
I think he can too. Again, the benefit of the short. If we were at VIR big, right, it'd be a little different story, but we only have to go 2.25 miles. That's about.
Even then, though, I mean, Burnsy has just been kind of hanging back there the entire time. I mean, I don't think he's even tried to sniff the lead. He's just been sniffing draft.
And if you're unfamiliar with Skippies, why we pay so much attention to fuel and fuel saving? If we were doing a Dallara race where the fuel goes in so much faster, saving fuel maybe save you 1/10 of a second. Here, you can save a lot of time because the fuel flows so slowly.
Oh, here comes Hoffenheim.
Adam, we've been doing this for a while. We know how to. You're on top of things, man. Burns stays out.
And then, of course, you got Kabankia. And them, Lukal behind them. If I could talk, that would be great. Oh, Hoffenheim misses his box too.
Well, that's good news if you're listening for Lee Anderson, who's just working his way out of the final corner right now. Let's pick up Anderson. Is he going to be coming across the line? See how this fares with Hofladezen. Hofladezen is rolling. Here comes Lee. I think Hofladezen is going to get out out in front. Well, he's out there, but the momentum from Anderson's going to bring him closer, within shouting distance.
Yeah, we'll see if he can latch on here. His stop, Lee Anderson's stop was almost a full second longer than Hofladezen, and that's even without the mistake. The mistake on both of their parts.
Well, that really, really, really opens the door a lot wider for third-degree burns now, because all he needs to do is come in and get a clean stop, pretty much guaranteed to be out in the lead. He'll have to take less fuel, and he'll spend less time on pit lane. Go.
So now the question becomes, how much fuel did Burns save? Is he going to come in this time? Is he maybe going to try to sneak out one extra lap? He's got clean racetrack in front of him. Here comes the answer. He's coming in.
Hofladezen is well on the other side of the track in comparison when I picked up the drivers when Hofladezen made his stop where Anderson was. It's considerably farther back. Let's see. Burns is in comfortably. Hofladezen out of hog pen right now on the straightaway. Burns sitting.
7/10 of a lap, 7/10 of a stop faster, almost 3 seconds faster in the lane. He is way out in front, Soup.
He's out there. Notice that Anderson, though, did catch up to the back of Hofladezen. They can work together to run down the two-time champion that leads right now. We ride on the tail of Hofladezen, looking back at Anderson. Everybody has made their stops. Leach, who was in that battle with Kabanka, that's gone. Kabanka now in a battle with Lukel. Remember we talked about Lukel trying to run down? Oh, and there's Lukel getting a little bit loose, but he keeps it going. Kabanka. So they race for 5th and 6th. Andrew Leach in 4th now. If I can read my notes, to be honest with you, on my clipboard, I just put an L. That could have stood for Leach or Lukel. I believe it was Kabanka and Leach, though, in that battle.
Yeah, that was Kabanka and Leach. I was the one that messed up a few minutes ago and said Lukel, so I'm the one that messed you up.
Let's go ahead and check in on 9th position. The Junkyard Dog. Next on his bite list will be Peter Huston. He continues to run his way up. I don't know if he's going to be able to get any more after this with about 12 minutes to go. It's 7 seconds up to Hendrik Camara. That might be the end of Young's climb through the field. There we ride off the back of Huston, looking back at Young. You're not missing it. Just watch the interval on the tower there. You can see that Anderson's 2 seconds back of Burns.
That's that 2 seconds has stayed pretty consistent since it came out of pit road. Ooh, big move there. Coming from Lukel. Oh, no, that's Yost Young. Excuse me. Doing it again, Soup.
That's all right. You got Yunkel on the brain. They're inside of Huston right now. They are side by side. He's going to have to go around the outside. Junkyard Dog continues to look. Now he looks to the left. He looks to the right, working both sides of the street like a jaywalking mailman on the tail of Peter Huston. Just a half car length back. Pulling right up on him. On him right now, tighter than a new pair of shoes on a rainy day. Moves to the inside. Give 8th position to the Junkyard Dog as he works around Huston. .8 seconds to get to Camaro. That's not going to happen.
Yeah, he's going to need a little help in order for that to happen, and we obviously don't want to wish bad luck on anybody. Senator Kamara, oh, he's also running by himself right now in 7th position. No one really in front, no one really behind him, so he's no in danger of unless something's self-inflicted, which again we don't want to see.
Let's check in on 2nd position right now. This is Anderson. He just did a little bit of a waltz step around Hofladezen. Hofladezen didn't put up much of a fight right now, as these guys both have the same agenda, and that is to catch David third-degree burns. The interval sitting at 1.8 seconds. They can see him.
That's how big Anderson's and Hofladezen's mistake was, as far as just overshooting that pit box, even just a little bit. If they hadn't done that, they would have been in. Burns still would have been in front, but they would have come out in the draft of David Burns and be able to have a chance to be able to get up there, which right now they're really having to work at it. Now they've gained a couple of tenths of a second, but they still got a long way to go.
Unfortunately for Burns, time walks on crutches right now, as I think with 10 minutes to go, there's probably enough time for Anderson and Hofladezen to teamwork themselves back up to Burns. Let's look at Burns right now as he's working on the back of a...
calm and collected. He's got this. All he has to do is run clean laps, I think, and have lap traffic kind of help him out a little bit here too, as he's got a car in front of him. He should be able to easily get by him on the straight and actually be able to draft him a little bit on the straight and kind of negate the Anderson-Hofladezen advantage here. That's Kai Alpstead right in front of him.
Alpstead moves over, and now maybe a little bit of a lift would be nice, and he does. Nicely done by Alpstead.
And of course, that also means that Hofladezen and Anderson may not catch him in as advantageous of a position. So, I mean, even if Alpstead moves over and lets them by, it still doesn't help your lap time.
We'll try to cover some of the battles a little further back, but right now it's going to be fun to watch our leaders work through lap traffic. If you're a back marker and you want a little screen time, well, now's your chance to get it, as you can try to get out of the way. Let's look at Alpstead one more time, as here he comes with Hofladezen and Anderson. This time he got 2. Moves over, keep a steady line right there. A little bit of a lift, and he lets 1, 2 by. All right, let's jump back up to the leader now, as he's working on Jason Guerrera. Guerrera in 19th, the last car on the lead lap. Burns catching him in a little trickier spot, a little harder for Jason to get out of the way here, but he gets a good job. Burns tucks in.
That was big. Look at that time differential between those guys now. And I figured that the draft on these cars is about 1 1/4 to 1.5 seconds back, because usually we can start feeling it on the long straightaways. That was big.
One of the reasons why I love these shorter courses. It is fun. And now, not only will they have to go around Guerrera, but Hofladezen and Anderson will get the benefit of the tow. In fact, Anderson was going to make a move on Hofladezen. Hofladezen got in behind Guerrera and got the tow, and Anderson was not able to make the pass. But now they are just 3 car lengths behind Burns.
That one time with Burns getting slowed up, that's all it took. And they're there. They are there. Now Burns is going to have to fight for it.
4th position. We're not going to go there. Leach continues to race all by himself, no competition.
In fact, really, our top 10 now, with the exception of the top 3, the rest of the top 10 is pretty well spread out amongst each other.
Indeed, which gives us an opportunity for this final 6.5 minutes to focus up front. Burns, Hofladezen, and Anderson. Well, you're going to see the dynamic of the racing a little bit different than what you saw early on. This guy's going to be a little more aggressive and at the same time a little more thoughtful as they continue to race hard but play chess at the same time. Won't be long till they get to car number 26, Dennis Rust. Rust blinking a little bit. Never a good sign.
I just saw David Burns blink out here.
Yep. And Hofladezen both. I couldn't find them. I'm having the same trouble. Let's see if they come back. All of a sudden, Lee Anderson is out there by himself. He's still out there by himself, and they're going to come back. They better come back soon.
Now let's talk about this here for just a second. If they were, Lee Anderson has to be careful here, because there's always the possibility that they can just pop back up on the screen, and all of a sudden you're going to have an incident there. That's a problem. So we got to be careful here. But the longer it goes, the more they. Oh, we just lost Gyros too. I think we just had a connection issue.
Uh-oh. Having an issue right now. They are falling left and right. Lee Anderson lives. Houston is left. Josh Brain has had a connection problem. 5 minutes to go. Lee Anderson out in front. These results will be unofficial. I'm not sure of the ABL's policy in this situation. It might be a, just if you're lucky enough to survive, you're going to get the points. So what did that? So you can see on the tower, that's pretty much what we're seeing.
Yeah, Hoffendaisen has officially dropped out of the session because of the connection.
Kabanka now has vultured his way up into a third spot. Go, Adam.
This was setting up to be such a fantastic finish, Soup.
It was indeed.
I'm heartbroken here.
So we're looking now at drivers that are still around. One of them, can we look at car number 666, racing in 8th position? It's Frederick Neptune, the Trident, from 27th to 8th. So I go through here to see if there's any geographical similarities to the guys that got bumped. I really don't see it. Lee Anderson has got to be hoping it doesn't hit him. Anderson has wins in his career, looking to get one more. They don't have mechanical failures in iRacing, but I can't think of what could cause a whole bunch. Think of it as they all caught the virus is what happened. A little social distancing needs to be applied in ABL. Anderson, Leach, Kabanka, Lucal, Kamara.
And Lee Anderson now just a huge lead. All he has to do is bring it home and hope that the connection bugs don't hit him here, as he just has to pretty much run it out.
This has huge big picture ramifications. No aero numb. Burns is gone. He had a horrible first race. Burns' season is over. Hovladays will be hard to come back from this. Yushunk was in the top 5. He's well down the order. He had connection problems. 2 minutes and 22 seconds left to go. Mikkel Hofladation has rejoined. He is in 17th. I think they only paid a 15th.
Still, though, that's important. Those are important points. If something were to happen, he can get a point or two out of this today.
Well, keep in mind, he already got bonus points for top 3 in qualifying. I think he has fastest lap. And he's led a lap, so he's going to come away with a little bit. And if you really want to put on your tinfoil hat conspiracy theory, he's within a punting position of Lee Anderson. Hofladason is not going to punt Lee Anderson,
no,
folks.
He's not. That's not to say he might not try to have at least some fun out of this, but coming to maybe the start-finish line. But
all right. Coming out of Hog Pen right now. One person that did not blink away to the Amelia Earhart Bar and Grill is the flagman as he pulls out the white flag. Waves that with enthusiasm as Lee Anderson goes under it. Leach is going to get second. Kabanka is third. Looking to see if there's a battle anywhere. Really, Not much to speak of, as 12 cars are still on the lead lap, none of them closer than 2 seconds right now. Well, congratulations if you can bring it home to Lee Anderson. Look for him to be at the top of the point standings when we come back for round 3. Adam, good news for these drivers is I guess they've extended the season 1 extra race. It's a 6-race season, so gives them a little more time to come back.
Yeah, and that extra race is going to be great now for the likes of Burns and Hoffaday. Of course, Burns didn't have the race he wanted to at Mosport, was looking to have rebound. He was looking to rebound in a big way here today, and that obviously didn't happen. But Lee Anderson, I mean, this really works out for him because he had a great race at Mosport, following it up with, if you could just get through a couple more corners, a great win here today.
Lamar looking for a top 5 as we right on board with who we think is going to come home with the win. He's worked his way through 12 and 12A, 14 and 14A, 15, coming through 16, 17 and 17A. Yes, that's how they label the corners here at VIR. We'll just call it hog pen. He loops around the sweeping right-hander, nothing but the flag man in front of him. Season 21, round 2 here at VIR. Let's give it to Lee Anderson. Andrew Leach just has a few more feet to go. If he can stay connected, he's going to pick up the bridesmaid's position with Christian Kabanka. He didn't get the win. He's going to come home in 3rd. Lucal and Kamara go 4th and 5th. Let's find a driver we haven't talked much about. How about car number 63? Haven't given him much screen time this time. Christopher Crook. Coming out of the final corner right now. Adam, he's looking for a 9th spot.
Yeah, I think he's he ran a good, clean race out there too. So good top 10 out of him, and great run. Vincent Brem is also going to be following around behind him as well, just a few seconds back, and he's got himself a little bit of a fight there with actually that's the lap car. That's the lap car, US Young, and so he'll get a top 10 out of today. And Tempest and Scott Angelo should finish out your lead lap.
Top of your screen there was Matt Tempest, who did get 11th, and then the last car on the lead lap is Scott Angelo. All right, the racing is over. For some of the drivers, it was over sooner than they would have wished for. But our broadcast is not over. We're going to take a short break. We'll come back and run down the entire finishing order, talk to some of the drivers before we put a lock on the gate. Don't go far. You're watching the Global SimRacing Channel. Sanctioned by the Absolute Beginners League from Virginia International Raceway. Welcome back to GSRC's Round 2 coverage of the 21st edition of Formula Neagle, the championship here on the shorter course at VIR. The racing results are in. Let's give them to you right now. It was Lee Anderson. We'll talk a little bit more about why some of these drivers dropped out. Lee Anderson gets the win. Andrew Leach is going to get second with Christian Kabanka in third. The back half of your top five, Eric Lukol and Hendrik Kamara. None of these were very close battles, so they're all separated by 2 to 3 seconds each. Andre Solander had a quiet sixth-place position. Insider Peter Huston. Frederick Neptune, we highlighted his drive through the field, 27 to 8th. Christopher Crook gets 9th spot, and the top 10 is finished up by veteran Vincent Brim. Adam?
Yeah, and I guess I get to be the lucky one to bring up things. That's the back half here of the back half of the field. 11th, Matt Tempest. 12th, Scott Angelo. Dennis Russ, Jason Guerrera coming in one lap down, along with Nicholas Falk. Nicholas Falk having one of the wildest rides in ABL we've seen in a while earlier. Mackenzie Mann, and then Mikhail Hoffmann just hit by apparently some connection issues on the iRacing server along with Jos Young. But they great race, and we know it was going to turn down to the line. Ultimately didn't happen that way. Christopher Giros and Kai Alpstead rounding out the top 20.
In 21st is Josh Brain, David Burns, Neil Stephenson, Troy Banks, Timothy Nylander, Thomas the Strudelmeister Kick in 26th position, and I don't think Podolchek actually took the greatest. We're here now. There were some issues with the Amsterdam server, and you have legalized drugs and prostitution. What do you expect from your server? Straighten up your country there. Let's go ahead and get some interviews with our race winners. We're going to talk with, it's not our race winner. We're going to talk with Mikhail Hofladason, who was in position to win. Mikhail, tough break, man.
Yeah, could have been a win, could have been a podium, could have been really good for the championship, but the game just froze for me. And I assume David also, because I saw him drop out same time. Which is just really unfortunate, because I felt I had a really good run, had not done too much practice, or actually no practice before the session opened. So was really happy to just be in the top 3 and score points for the championship until that happened.
Well, after you and Anderson both kind of blew your pit stops, you guys worked really well to get back to Burns. There's no way he was going to be able to run away from me, I guess.
Yeah, at first, David continued another lap when I pitted, and actually I was really surprised, because I thought, oh shit, I have underfueled, because I came out like 1.5 ahead of Anderson, and then David comes out 2.5 ahead of me.
It was fun while it lasted. Nice. I thought you and Anderson doing a little swapping early on. Interesting that your moves, you had to go wide through the horseshoe, that sweeping right-hander there at the end of the straightaway a few times, but you made that work for you.
Yeah, I wanted to try early on, because I saw Lee was really fast, and I actually thought David was sliding around a bit, so I thought it was going to be more about me and Lee. So I wanted to see like where I could possibly overtake him if I were to be in last place, and just trying to see what would happen until later on, basically.
We'll get you out of here on this. I want your opinion on the track. Personally, Adam and I like it when we go to some shorter venues here in these skippies. It makes the racing interesting. What do you think about the shorter layout?
I'm a fan. I don't have anything bad to say against it, but a bit more practice could have helped me. That's for sure.
Well, on the other hand, think of how more sad you would have been if you had to put in all that practice and then the gremlins would have hit you. Sorry
Fair
about
enough.
that 17th spot. Good luck. We'll see you the rest of the way. Still a chance to get in there. Anything can happen.
You won't see me next round, sadly enough.
Are you racing for real? No, that's not up
racing for real and turning 20 at the same day. Oh, well, the day before, but I'll be racing on Sunday as well.
Okay, well, try to get the racing and the celebration separated a little bit there. Congratulations. Good luck on the real world.
Thank you.
There you have it. As that's going to do us. That's our only interview today. It's always fun to talk to Mikhail, though. He's a good guy. And congratulations to get back out on track for real. Thanks to the Absolute Beginner League for organizing Formula Neagle and contracting with GSRC to broadcast it. Thanks to the company's equipment or software that you see on screen right now, we use to bring this broadcast your way. The original music that gives every GSRC production that unique flavor and feel. Well, that's thanks to June Lalonde. See the screen for contact information. Formula Eagle returns in 2 weeks. That's going to be July 26th, round 3 from Donington. GSRC will be there. We hope that you join us. On screen now are some upcoming broadcasts, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. If you'd like more information about us, globalsimracingchannel.com, Twitter at GSR Channel, Facebook at Global SimRacing Channel, Instagram at GSRC_Graham. And while you're here, make sure that you subscribe by hitting the subscribe button. Hey, if you're looking for a perfect gift for the person who has everything, why don't you check out our merchandise store, gsrc.scorenv.com. Sadly, we are sold out of masks, but hopefully we'll get some of those GSRC masks back in soon. Finally, on behalf of the entire crew, that would be me, Adam, Dougie, and who else? Sean. There we go. I'd like to thank all of you for watching, as it was indeed Lee Anderson here getting the win at VIR. And now with that said, we're off to have fun storming the castle. So until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.